For this video, we're gonna start diving into the brakes on the truck. We decided after the test drive we definitely need to take a look at them. So you're gonna see us dig through the brakes, find some good things, some bad things, some missing parts, change some parts. But that's what we'll be working on in this video. So we got down here and started messing with this. One thing I noticed is we got some play here. So that's definitely not good.
We're taking these off and there's this little pin you can...
Yeah, a little cotter pin.
Yeah, so we're just bending that back. Pull that out, then get the brakes off.
So as we work on this thing, we keep finding out different stuff. So we got that cotter pin out, pulled off the little castle nut there, whatever they call that. And I got here, found the right socket, which I literally just was testing to make sure I had the right size. And as I did that, I realized it just comes straight off. Wasn't even tight.
Like we didn't use anything.
No, nothing at all. It was like finger tight. So maybe that was why it was a little wiggly, because it wasn't quite tight enough. Not sure. But we're going to get this drum off. As we get ready to put it all back together, we'll see if we can tighten it a little bit more maybe. But I think what happened is it may have just backed off because the castle nut and the cotter pin just weren't holding it tight enough. But yeah, if you want to go and see if you can get that thing off. You just walk it like that.
Can I use this thing?
He kept pulling on it. We finally got it off. If you want to turn that around so I can see in here. So inside here, I mean, doesn't look horrible, but I wouldn't call it brand new either. So there you go. You can see there's grease down in there. Yeah, the drums, I mean, there's a little bit of a lip on them, but not the worst in the world. Coming over here, looking at the brakes themselves. So I mean, there's still some thickness on the shoes. Looks rusty in here. The shoes actually, you can tell they were changed recently. But then, yeah, the spiders took up some residence in here.
There.
Yeah.
And those are all baby spiders.
Oh yeah, cool. We got baby spiders. How about that? A little nursery going. So I don't see anything in here that's really alarming per se. A little bit of rust here and there. Grease on the bearings and everything. The shoes look new.
Is that broken?
Springs aren't too bad.
Or is that just how it's supposed to be?
I don't know. We'll have to look at that a little bit when I put the camera down. Maybe that was part of our problem. Anyway, we'll have to clean all this junk out, get rid of our family of spiders, and then probably put this back together because the shoes look pretty good, the drums look pretty good. We'll just do some cleaning out in here. We're gonna go ahead and put this back on, put the bearing in. All right, got that on there. Got to line up that little notch there. Now we're gonna get the nut going. Now I gotta get the socket.
So we're putting this all back together, and the little bearing thing that kind of like angles in, you put the smaller like diameter side in, if you need to know that, and then the nut that you can right there. I looked it up and it says torque it down to 17 to 25 foot-pounds of torque. So we have our little torque wrench that he's holding, but we're just gonna go torque that down and we'll be done with this front side.
I had to get an adapter because our torque wrench is a 3/8 drive and the socket is 1/2 inch, so I had to get that. It definitely was not at 20 foot-pounds when we took it off. I can tell
It was
you
like
that.
finger tight.
Yeah. There we go. So just one more. That's it.
All you need to do to torque it down.
Put this castle nut back on here.
Piece, and then you got that little pin that goes around through the little hole that you also can't really see, but it's there.
Yeah, I gotta feed this puppy through.
That little pin.
There we go. There's
Now
that. Okay, so we got that torqued down right, castle nut, got the cotter pin through, twisted that so it won't back out. As you can see now, this thing is rock solid. It's not moving
Doesn't
at
have
all.
any play or
None.
at all.
And then when I grab the whole brake piece and all that, and I start wiggling around the steering, there is no slip in the steering either. So even though these tie rod ends are caked up in junk, they look a little greasy. But despite that, and rusty and nasty looking and everything else, they're tight. So I don't look forward to trying to get that off of there, because that just looks like one big crusty rust ball, but it is definitely tight. Then you can see we wiped this soft hose down. It looks really nice. You can see the fitting up here is definitely a newer fitting. Same back here. Not seeing any brake fluid leaks, nothing. So we're gonna give this front one here a clean bill of health. And I mean, it's not perfect and all that, but for now, yeah, there's rust.
Inside's good. Kind of everything on this has a little bit of rust.
Yeah, so we'll work on further restorations, but right now we're just trying to get it on the road and be safe with it. So, I mean, nothing in there looked bad. Got rid of the spider family, but other than that, seems like everything's pretty good.
And we're moving on to the rear.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the rear and then the e-brake after that. Okay, we pulled the tire off the back. Got the drum off again. It looks like it's been replaced, which is what the paperwork had. So back in like 09, but not run much since then. So not a lot of wear on it. It looks pretty good. You can even see how this looks even new in the middle where it was protected by the rim. This one is different than the front. So you can see the studs actually come through the drum, through these holes. I sprayed a little WD-40 on there to try to help break them loose. Had to do a lot of prying on it and stuff just to get it off of there. But we got it off. And looking in here, same deal. These shoes look new. They got good thickness on them. We've got some spider situation going on. Other than that, I don't see any brake fluid leaks. Honestly, looks pretty good in here. So I think these are good. We don't need new shoes, new drums, any of that stuff. No leaks. So yeah. Well, the next piece though is we got to figure out this emergency brake. You can see the cable right here, kind of rusty looking. We're gonna crawl up under there and find the lever. We'll set up differently so we can shine some light back here and show you the back and all that. But for now, we'll just call the basic brakes themselves good. Like I said, get rid of some spider webs. And we'll slap this sucker back together and that'll be good. I'm not sure exactly what's going on right there.
Is that snake? It's
Yeah,
like snake
skin. Okay, so we had
a snake, family of spiders.
Snake got in here and tried to, you know, pull his skin off, or I don't know, maybe the spiders.
I don't think a spider would kill a snake.
No, man, I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah, it looks like he got up in there and pulled his skin off, but we'll get the rest of that out of there. Don't really need to be hauling spiders around. Like I said, we'll move over to the e-brake next. All right, we crawled under here to start looking at what's going on with the e-brake. So you can see this cable right out here. This cable, very loose, right? So he has the handle pushed in up in the cab, and this thing's super loose. Now go ahead and pull it all the way out. Okay. Now it's all the way out up there, and it just tightened up. And it's
a little further this time.
Yeah, but it's not even moving the this lever, which is what has to move to tighten the. You got to move that lever right there forward to tighten the e-brake. It should be tight like this when the handle is all the way pushed in up there. And we can go show you that, but anyway, go ahead and push the handle all the way in. You'll watch this thing drop down. See? Yeah, that's no good. So it should not be like that. It should be tight like you just saw it right now with the handle in, and then when you pull the handle, it moves that lever, which then moves this over here, which moves this piece right up here, this piece, which is connected to those cables which go back to the drums. So anyway, we'll get that handle, the cable adjusted over here, and then we'll come back at this thing, and then we'll move to the back and look at the drums and make sure they're actually engaging when we pull the handle.
So here's the e-brake handle thing. So how this kind of works is you pull it out, you hear that clicking, and you gotta turn to the right, it locks. And before you even have to like turn it to the right for it to stay there, it was just too loose, and you would pull it and it would just stay where you left it. But now, like if I move it over the side, it kind of like springs itself back. But you kind of got to put a ton of effort into this to pull it back. But that's how that works and what it looks like.
Okay, we're gonna pull the other back here. So he's working on that. We're just using the screwdriver as a kind of a pry, going around the edges.
No, that actually got quick.
Yeah, there you go. Got her off. All right, so that's exactly what I was expecting to see.
Yeah, see this thing.
Yeah.
That thing is what's missing on the other side.
Point that out again.
That piece right there. It goes underneath this little cylinder.
Yeah, the master cylinder.
Yeah.
So that piece is missing from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when you pull the lever, it doesn't seem like it's pulling even.
So one has more resistance going on.
So we're gonna have to get that e-brake. Your hands with the focus. We'll get the spiders. Just chill. So we'll have to do that. Get that piece, and hopefully that way then the emergency brakes will work. So I'm gonna look over here to this side. See if I can see where that connects over here. Yep.
Right there.
Yeah.
Little bar that's moving.
Yeah. So we're missing that bar on the other side. But we'll dig in here a little bit more and see if maybe the e-brake's actually working on this side. So we'll go pull the handle and all that stuff and check it out. But first we're gonna get rid of the spiders.
You're ready.
Okay, I got over here to this side so I can show you guys. So I need a third hand to hold the light. But anyway, you can see on this side there's a couple extra pieces there, and then down in here you can see where that spring down on the bottom right in the center, that spring is what extends and pushes on this silver piece that comes up here and pushes on the other flat silver piece up there. But we're missing all that stuff on the other side. There's this little retaining clip down here. We're missing as well on the other side that holds that spring. So we're gonna have to order some of those parts or run up to the parts store and get them. And we're gonna have to work on the brakes on the other side to make that work. So go ahead and pull the handle. We'll see how this actuates back here. Oh, well, nothing moved. So I guess we're gonna have to do some adjustments on this thing too. So it looks like we're gonna have to pull the rear brakes apart and see if we can do some adjustments on some of these e-brake stuff. It's kind of disappointing, but
Like right now, nothing's moving.
no, I didn't see anything move down in here.
Even that like bottom spring, it's not moving a little bit.
I didn't. No, let it back out. Okay, and then pull it again. No, it doesn't look like anything's moving at all. So we'll have to troubleshoot this thing, figure out how we can make it work like it's supposed to. Okay, so we're gonna have to get the parts for the back, but for now, we're gonna check in here and see what's going on.
You checked in here before, it seemed kind of low.
Yeah, it seemed low, but that looks good, right? The rubber, yeah, all looks all right.
Is there a fill line? Something I should be aiming for?
I'm not positive. We'll look at it a little more. But anyway, that's what we found in there. Oop. So, I don't know. It looks like there might be a couple little pieces of gunk in there. So we'll see if we can fish those out with a screwdriver real quick. And then we'll find the fill line, but I don't think there really is one. We'll just kind of top her off and put the lid back on and make sure we got plenty of fluid. Okay, so we tried to use a screwdriver a little bit, but then we just said, forget it, and stuck our finger in here. So I can feel down in here, there's like a bunch of little pieces of grit and stuff. And then you can see like that right there, and it just came off. So there's these little rusty grit pieces. But then this just, it kind of comes out and it's kind of rusty and black looking. That is not what brake fluid looks like. Even when I wipe it, you can see how it just goes to black. So, yeah, that doesn't make me super happy. I don't know. Probably look in the parts book and see what a new one of these things looks like, because we start getting all these chunks through the brake lines. That's going to be bad, because there's a bunch, all these little chunky things are coming out of there. So, yeah, we may have to replace that thing, because it did just, you stick your finger in there and there's just, like, I mean, there's some little, can't see it, but there's some little grooves and stuff and places in here where it's not flat on the bottom. So where the brake fluid is supposed to be going in is a hole, I don't know, about the size of a pencil. But around the edges and stuff, it's just super gunky. And then this stuff, it's not clear, it's not brake fluid at all. It's
Super dirty.
Yeah. So I'm gonna mop some of this up, and we'll probably just top it off and it'll be what it is for right now, but I don't know that we're gonna be able to put it on the road until we get this figured out. So I'll mop that up, and you can see that that's just dirty.
Brown.
So there's some brown, some black. It's just dirty. Doesn't look like brake fluid.
You can see in there,
Yeah, I'm gonna mop up another batch. All right, went in here and pulled out the old master cylinder. As you can see, it used to be right there. So it wasn't that bad. First thing I had to do is take that little brake line there, the hard line, undid the nut on there, that popped right out. Then you can see the big hole with the rod sticking out of there. To the left and right, there were two bolts. You see the little whitish on them there. But two bolts, and then it just pulls out. You can see there's a rubber gasket thing there. That's part of the new one as well. So, or boot, I guess is what it is. But we'll pull that out. Get that area there cleaned up a little bit. You can see there's flaky paint stuff. We'll hit that with a wire brush and some sandpaper maybe, and get that looking a little better. And then we'll get the new one back in there. I am pretty glad that we went ahead and pulled it. Well, because like I said, it's not a super expensive part. But if you look down in there, you can see, well, the rust is one thing, but you can see the gunk in there. The nasty looking fluid. It's just rusty and messed up. And I don't know. Not worth trying to save that, clean it, do anything with it. Just better safety wise for the brakes to go ahead and pull that out. So that's what we did. All right, so got that in. Like I said, you just pulled that out. I pulled that little rubber boot out. It seals on that rod that was sticking out. It's attached to the new one. So we just basically feed that rod into the rubber boot on the back, shove it in there, get the 2 bolts back where they need to be. Tighten those things down, went inside, mashed the pedal a couple times. That really helps seat the boot. I can show you that piece in there too, how that's set up, but looks like it's on there. And now I just got to reconnect the hard line, get some pieces off the old one, and we'll be all set. On the back side, that's that boot. Like I said, it goes through around that metal rod, and when you push the brake pedal, can you come push this brake pedal for me so I can show them how this works? Just reach in and mash it with your hand. It's easy. Or use your foot. Anyway, you can see there how it squishes. That's how it works, so it's all set. Everything looks good. We'll move on to the next step. So I pulled, got that back in there, pulled the 2 pieces off the old one that I needed in order to get this one all hooked back up. So that was, first of all, this little elbow right here, this little brass elbow, pulled that off, threw some more Teflon on it, new Teflon, and then twisted it around so it lined up here. These are all both 7/16 is what you need for those. And I pulled this off the old one. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I don't even know what that thing is. We had no wires going to it. In an earlier video, somebody said, hey, you're missing the wires, but I don't even know what it is. I guess it's pressure something. If you know, let me know. Just haven't looked it up or done a bunch of research, but anyway, put it back on there. It filled up that second hole, brushed it off some, again, put some Teflon on it. That one, actually, you need a 1-inch wrench on that, and you can take it off and on. So that's it. New master cylinder is in there, and now we're going to move to rebuilding the front brakes.
This is the brakes after putting them back together. We use the same shoes, but that thing, brake
Wheel
cylinder, the springs, that spring, that thing, all that stuff we changed, and then we're putting in bearings. So we're putting those in next.
So like I said, we got all the brake rebuild stuff in there. So we're going to reuse the same drum too. It's got a little surface rust on the outside, but it was clearly a brand new drum. So we're going to use that. It's got plenty of wear left on it. However, the bearings didn't look like they had a ton of grease, kind of dirty. So we're just going to change them. It's not a bad thing to do. So got some new grease in. I got the new bearing race here. I got my bearing and seal driver right here. It's in a set over here that we got from Harbor Freight. Not too expensive. Got a new bucket of grease right there, hammer and all that. So we'll just get this in there and make sure we got the taper on this right. So the small part is down, the bigger part is up. We'll get it beat in there, switch it over. There's another bearing on the back side. We'll get that one in, do the same thing. Once we got all the bearings in, we got the rear seal, then we'll go ahead and start put some grease on the spindle up there as well. Just make sure we get plenty of grease on this thing so we don't have to worry about it getting hot or burning a bearing, and get this put back together. Okay, so I got the bearing race in the other side. We got the bearing race in the back side here. Dropped the bearing down in there after we greased it up. Cleaned up my hands of all this red grease that made it look kind of like a murder scene. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and put the seal in. So he's got the seal down there. Going to go ahead and make sure it's all lined up really good, even and level. And then he's going to whack it a couple times and get it to seat down in there.
So I'm in here, we're bleeding the brakes, and so right now I'm just gonna keep like pressing the brakes until it gets harder and kind of builds up some pressure. And then my dad's gonna go over to the bleeder valves on each brake and then open them and then pressure's gonna push brake fluid out. And you just gotta keep doing that over and over to bleed the brakes. We were bleeding the brakes, and I was pressing the brake pedal, and it was like just bottoming, like hitting the floor, not like just getting stuck, or not, whatever it would be called. It was just getting stiff, I guess. It was just hitting the floor. We're trying to figure out what it was. We bled the brakes out, and like there was no air left in them. And I forgot to film when we had this open, but in there, in this bottom part, inside under this cover, but there's a little like gear, and you have to like adjust the brake pads so they're far enough like out towards the sides, and we forgot to do that, so they're really far away. So when you press the brakes, they have to go long, super far, and they just weren't going far enough. And yeah, so we just adjusted that on both sides, and now we're gonna see if the brake pedals get stiff or still does the same thing. Inside now, but before it was literally going until it hit the wall up there, but now when you press them, they barely go anywhere really. So way better now, actually working, but that's how they look like now.
So we've bled the brakes and all that, got this thing put back together. The last piece to put on there was that nice chrome dust cap. Didn't need to be chrome, but that's what they had at the store, so that's what we ended up with. That was missing previously too, so that's why a lot of the grease in there was so black and nasty, as you can see from those bearings there on the floor. So that's all the trash that came out of the brakes, and all new stuff went in there, including we got rid of that leaky wheel cylinder. So that's that. I want to go ahead and throw this tire back on and get this side buttoned up, and then I'll head over to the front, and then we'll get all the rest of them to the other front tire. We'll get the rest of them all put back together, get this thing down on the ground. While you're watching, think too, I'm not sure what I want to do with rims. These tires are a decade old, so we're gonna have to replace them. I don't know if I want to go with these rims or if I want to do something different. Kind of thinking about going back to the just good old steel wheels with a hubcap, make it kind of original, but you know, go a little wider. Instead of like a 5-inch rim, go to about an 8-inch maybe. But yeah, let me know what you think. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these back on for now. So we got the brakes buttoned up. Like I said, went ahead and threw the tires and all back on. I'll get it on the ground here shortly. I just got to finish up that front driver's side, or I'm sorry, passenger side. Put it all back together, and then it'll be on the ground. But it's getting late. What I'm going to do now is kind of polishing touch on this. Grabbed a couple of these offline real quick. So we've got the replacement for these crusty old pedal covers here. So I'm going to try to get these things off. I'll work on that off camera since I don't have a cameraman, and show you what they look like when I get the new ones on. I got the old ones off. You can see here on these, like this thing is just, it's brittle, like super hard, piece just broken off of it. It's not really rubber. The brake one was a little better, but you can see it's torn there. Not real good. You can see on this pedal, they did, I don't know, it either stuck or something, but I can't get all that black stuff off of there, so chiseled away what I could. But now we're going to go ahead and put the new one on, and we'll see if I can get this on. But they basically just slip on if you can get it to work out for you, but probably gonna need 2 hands. So anyway, we'll get that on there and I'll show you the final product. So there they are. Just have to wiggle those around the edges, take both hands, kind of peel it up and get it around the pedal itself, but they're on there, good, not going anywhere. So those are cheap little $5 fixes that make things look better and give you better grip on the pedals. So that was a simple one. Here I am working on the passenger side front drums. To be honest with you, this one is just getting frustrating and a little bit discouraging trying to get this put back together. As we've worked on the brake system, you know, we found parts in the back that weren't there, so I'm gonna have to buy whole new drum assemblies. Tried to do a rebuild on the front here because they put new shoes and drums, but nothing else. So got the driver's side together, got it adjusted, all that stuff. So that one's back together. This one, as you can see, I got the new wheel cylinder. A couple issues. As you can see from my wet finger right here, it continues to leak right up there at the connection. Not quite sure what the deal is with that, so that's just frustrating. What should be a quick little wheel cylinder replacement it's turned into a bit of an issue. The other problem is, I'll show you the old one. So if you look here on the old one, right above those two mounting holes, there's not a lot of thickness on the metal there. And then that goes into this this bracket right here, and it's supposed to fit in perfectly, and that helps hold it in place and all that stuff. Well, if you look at this one, if I can get it to flip around here for you, and you look there, there's a lot more thickness on the top of above the screw holes, and that is keeping this wheel cylinder from going into the this bracket like it's supposed to, lining up with the holes. And so that's what I was fighting the other day, and why I could get one screw in but not the other one. It just not working. So I have two options. One is to try to grind that down a little bit and see if I can make it match this old one that has, you know, a lot less metal above those holes, and then it'll fit into the bracket. I don't have to get all the way down to what this is, but it is hitting that bracket some and keeping it from working. Or I can get a whole, like, order more wheel cylinders. I mean, this is the right part. I checked it. I mean, I won't say exactly where this one came from because I don't want to badmouth anybody, but I think the castings are just a little different. Like I said, the driver's side went in. It was tight, but it went in. Both bolts, everything seemed to work fine. This one's just not working out. So I think it just needs a little bit of a trim to it, and it'll go in. So I'm going to do that, I think, today. See if I can salvage this one. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to order parts from a different place and see if I can get one that fits better. So this is what I'm going to work on today as we sit here riding out, I guess it was a hurricane, but now a tropical storm, Nicole. Just riding that out today. Sitting in here in the garage, nice dry, and work on this. Try to keep motivated and finish this up so I can go do a test drive on the brake system, which hopefully will be today and not sometime next week after I wait on more parts. But anyway, that's what we'll be working on today, and hopefully the next thing I'll be showing you is this thing put back together, bled out again, and on the ground for a quick test drive for the brakes.